We're going to talk about the situation in Ukraine now. NATO defence ministers will be meeting in Brussels today and tomorrow to discuss the ongoing support package for Ukraine in the wake of Russia's significant escalation of the conflict this week.
Well, Russian missiles, as we know, have hit multiple cities in Ukraine over the last few days. At least 19 people killed, at least 97 wounded. Sites included non-military targets like parks. They've damaged about 30% of Ukraine's energy infrastructure.
Well, former Director of Special Forces, Major General Jonathan Shaw, joins us this morning. Good morning to you. What do you expect to be the outcome of this meeting today?
I expect them to put some military flesh on the political bones that came out yesterday when Stoltenberg said that the West would stick with Ukraine for as long as it took. So today we'll be looking for some sort of substance to that political statement.
In what sort of flesh on the bones? I mean, just more support in terms of weaponry and ammunition, or does it need to take the next step?
Well, no, I don't think there is a next step. I think we need to stick with the current path. What we're seeing in the last couple of days is a Russian sort of reaction to the hit on the bridge, and that was to be utterly expected. There is really only one route for Putin, that is to keep escalating. But for NATO, the NATO policy on the ground is winning. The Ukrainian, our support to Ukraine is showing that Ukraine can actually achieve success on the ground. So I think we'll keep going with that. As Russia has reacted with more airstrikes and missiles, so more air defence is required. I think you'll see that at the forefront of the supplies that are sent out there. Germany, for instance, has just sent a brand new air defence system into Ukraine. So I think we'll keep steady on the course, just reinforce the existing plan.
What do you think the NATO Secretary-General meant when he said targeting energy supplies by Russia would be met with a united and determined response? I mean, what form would that take, do you think?
Yeah, that's a very interesting comment. I don't have an easy answer for you. One thing I don't think it'll do is I don't think we'll be retaliating in kind. I think we'll just keep plugging away. We'll have to wait and see. I think the last thing that NATO wants to do is to escalate the war outside its existing boundaries. And there are worrying signs that, that there's questions about the cyber attack on the German rail system. Is Russia trying to expand the theatre of conflict? And of course, the trouble with that is that, from the Russian point of view, is that if they start attacking our infrastructure, we could attack theirs, and you could end up with some kind of cyber mutually assured destruction. I personally don't think that's going to happen because I think both sides are worried about it, but it is a possible line of escalation, and we do have to be concerned about that.
Look, everyone's looking at scenarios how to end this, of course, and it seems very unlikely that the West is going to remove support for Zelensky. I mean, that seems very, very unlikely at the moment. But where does that then lead us? I mean, there's all this talk about problems within Russia and whether Putin himself could be deposed or, got rid of in some way, shape or form. That isn't necessarily a rosy solution, though, is it?
No, I don't see a clear way out of this either way. Three possible scenarios very quickly. One is that the West stops supporting Zelensky, that Russia wins. I don't think that will be the end of it anyway, because I think the Ukrainians will keep fighting some sort of guerrilla war. So I don't think that would be a neat end to the solution. Another, as you say, is that Putin gets deposed in Moscow. The problem with that is that I suspect the only people strong enough to depose Putin in country and take over the government will be even more nationalist, even more extreme than Putin. So I'm not sure that would end up a happy way, and might well lead to a civil war in Russia. 1917 being the sort of the precedent for that. So I don't think that's an easy quick win either. People talk about negotiations to freeze the conflict. The problem with that is that if you freeze the conflict on current battle lines, what you're doing is rewarding Russian aggression, and you're showing that sort of nuclear blackmail wins. I don't think anyone has any interest in that outcome. So I confess I can't see an easy way out of this one. I can't see a neat solution.
Go on.
I was just saying, in terms of any sort of negotiated settlement, should it ever come to that, I mean, how problematic has President Zelensky made that. We're very careful not to criticise him, really, but he has actually dug himself into quite a hole, hasn't he?
Well, yes, he has, and that's what's interesting about the statement yesterday from NATO, because we joined him in that hole by saying we shall never recognise those annexed states. So you're finding NATO repeating the languages of Zelensky. So I think we're in the same hole as he is.